hard to capture, extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifesting. The gods work like appliances, dealing in my sacred life.
Yo, what's going on, guys? So before we get into today's video, just gotta say that today's video is gonna be brought to you by Beautiful Halo. And I gotta say, if you guys want to purchase some really awesome anime merchandise, everything from Boruto / Naruto to Black Clover, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball, click down in the description box and use my link below in order to do so. It's also a really great way to help support the channel. As a bit of an added bonus, a lot of their anime merchandise, like you saw in the video just now, is on sale right now, and there's free worldwide shipping on anything over $29. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Yo, what's going on, guys? So I want to go ahead and have a serious discussion with you guys. You know, this last Boruto chapter, it's been one that I've seen a lot of people say like, oh man, I'm so excited to see what Sasuke and Naruto and Boruto are going to do against Isshiki. And I've also seen some people say like, damn, this is not what I was expecting. So I just want to go ahead and say right now, if you're an anime only fan, I thank you for your support. Go ahead and leave your answer to the video question, which is whether or not it's too soon for Sasuke to die, down in the comment section. But with all that being said, if you're still here, then I'm gonna go ahead and assume you're okay with me talking about spoilers. So as I was going back and I was taking a look at the last Boruto chapter, you know, one thing really kind of popped my head, right? Like when you see how they basically had a situation where they're fighting inside of Konoha and Isshiki was using the villagers against Naruto's Hokage, and Isshiki was knocking Naruto all through the building, slapping this dude around. Naruto had a helpless expression on his face before Sasuke showed up. You know, the thing that really hit me was the fact that they're really setting the stage for a scenario where Sasuke doesn't have to give up his life to save anybody. And that was something that, you know, we had to kind of discuss the possibility, because Sasuke in the last chapter was saying, hey, I'm willing to give my life if it means protecting the village. Are you willing to do the same? He said that to Boruto in chapter 48. In chapter 49, when Sasuke shows up, he basically says, I had to prepare myself for a moment. And you know, a lot of people were rightfully saying like, oh man, they're beating the drum on whether or not Sasuke's gonna die. But for me, as I reread the chapter and I got to that portion of the story where they're inside of one of Momoshiki's dimensions, that's when it hit me. Like, they're in a situation where, yes, Sasuke's tapped out of chakra, so he's not gonna have as much because he had to teleport into an Otsutsuki dimension, but he's got Boruto and Naruto there. Isshiki is in a body that is basically on a timetable to where in a few days it's gonna end up killing itself, and so if they can drag the fight out long enough, they can just outlast Isshiki. And so I've got Sasuke dying on a scale from 1 to 10 at like a 3 right now. It was like at a 6, it's down to a 3, and I know myself and Anime Balls Deep, you know, we did a video talking about potential ways Sasuke could die, but that was before this last chapter. And so when you look at this chapter here, I think that they've essentially put Sasuke back into the safety zone. The same thing with Naruto. I don't think we're in a situation where either one of them could die, but the reason I want to make this video here is one of you guys hit me with a post on Twitter. Literally, I'm recording this right after doing the Boruto episode 163 review, and one of you guys hit me with a question earlier this morning, probably around 1 a.m. You guys asked me on Twitter and you said, hey, you know, how upset would you be if Sasuke died in the next chapter? And my response was, honestly, I'd be at a 2. I wouldn't be upset because it wouldn't hit me like when Kakashi died back in 2000, I believe 2008, when the Pain arc was coming out in the manga. When Kakashi died, that messed me up because there was a proper build up to the Akatsuki eventually coming to Konoha. Kakashi had already interacted with the Akatsuki members. We had already seen Kakashi struggling with Kakuzu and keeping fighting off Hidan. We had seen moments where even the mighty Kakashi was being pressured. And so when Kakashi gave his life in order to protect Choji, that was one of those things where it just really hit me. Like, I'll be honest, I probably get some people to laugh at me, but when I saw that last panel in one of the chapters where Kakashi was slumped over, you know, I almost cried. And then once we got to the start of the next chapter next week, and you see how Kakashi was meeting the ghost of Team 7 and he reunited with his family, I fucking teared up when that happened. I fucking teared up when I read that chapter. Like, that's one of those chapters where I remember exactly where I was when I read that. And so I say that to say there hasn't been that same build up for Isshiki, especially killing somebody like Sasuke. It's not been built up to that point. Like, if you're gonna kill Sasuke, especially somebody that is a legacy character, it has to be done with great care. It has to be done with really great care. And based on what we've seen so far, it doesn't feel like there's enough there to justify killing Sasuke. Now, I don't give a damn about a Sasuke and Boruto training arc. I know everybody's like, oh, I want to see them train. I want to see Sasuke and Boruto go into the time skip and Boruto learns all this stuff. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just gonna keep it real with you, because training Boruto is a lot easier than training somebody like Naruto, who had to spend the time skip learning the basics and fundamentals and everything. It's one of those things where the whole purpose that series use time skip is it gives you an opportunity to backdoor beef up the characters. Some cases they train by themselves, other cases it's a new mentor, or in some situations they just become naturally gifted through that time. When it comes to Boruto, I mean, we've already kind of seen Sasuke train Boruto. We saw him train him in the versus Momoshiki arc. We saw extended stuff in the anime for it. In the novels, we've actually seen Sasuke train Team 7. We've seen him mentor Boruto. There's been small stuff said in passing in the manga that I wouldn't be opposed to it, because at this point we've seen more training with Sasuke and Boruto than we saw with Sasuke training with Orochimaru, more than we saw Sakura training with Tsunade. And when it comes to Naruto and Jiraiya, we've seen roughly the equivalent of Naruto learning the summoning jutsu under Jiraiya and part of the training to learn the Rasengan. So I definitely think that, like, look, like, it's not going to be as much. Boruto starting with a much higher floor than Naruto did when Naruto was the same age. So I definitely think that, I mean, they could get away with that, but the fact is that there's not enough there. Like, if they kill Sasuke off, if they decide to go that route and they kill him in this dimension, if you have Isshiki kill Sasuke, unless it's a battle that takes place over the course of an entire manga volume, and it's one of those things where you see things progressively getting more and more dark, and they just go the situation where you have Sasuke basically get Boruto and Naruto out of there and he holds off Isshiki, similar to how Naruto basically told Sasuke to escape last time. If it's a scenario like that, then I think that you could kind of pull this off. But again, Sasuke's got to have a really badass battle in order for that to happen. If it's a scenario where Sasuke uses the outer path, i.e. the Rinne rebirth, to revive either Naruto or Boruto, with the case of Naruto, it would hit harder in the heartstrings. But the fact is again, you're basically relying on the past development that you had with Sasuke's character and Naruto's character in the first series. When you just look at the Boruto portion, there hasn't been enough build up towards that. Now, when it comes to Boruto, I don't think that you see any type of revival for Boruto until you get to a scenario to where Sasuke has to make a decision on whether or not to kill Boruto to save him from Momoshiki. I think that that's really the only time that you could even play that card right there if you go there. So I definitely think that based on what they've done in this last chapter, they've kind of extended the window for Sasuke, and I think that that is a smart thing. But I also think that we're at a point now, again, we're 4.5 years into the Boruto manga being in publication, and we've not had anybody of any significance die. There have not been any real stakes when you start looking at it. Like, when you get to these fights in these chapters, at no point do you sit there and think, oh wow, this person isn't safe. The closest we got to that was when you had Himawari put in danger. Other than that, there hasn't been a moment where you said, oh my god, I don't think anybody's gonna make it out of this. You never had that moment. So it's one of those things where you got to be careful with it. You got to be really careful whether or not you have this scenario where somebody gets killed off. Again, for characters like Naruto and Sasuke, it has to be done properly. I've not seen the proper build up. I thought that there was an opportunity to potentially do that in this last chapter if they kept the battle inside of Konoha, but they smartly moved that away. So my question to you guys is, do you agree with me that now that they're in another dimension, they can in no way rightfully kill Sasuke off? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.